I thought the last thing he'd ever send me was flowers, until I got a $2,400 debt notice. Jennifer's hands trembled as she held the envelope, her name printed neatly above a threat she hadn't seen coming. Ford Motor Credit demanded $2,432.16, something about excess mileage. Her eyes scanned the page, but her mind raced elsewhere, to the tours, the rehearsals, the late nights Ethan spent loading his guitar amps into her minivan. The same van they'd leased, together, back when she still believed in second chances. That van was hers now, on paper. In life, it had been Ethan's personal U-Haul for his dreams. And yet, now she was expected to pay the price. Literally. Jennifer sat on her couch, sinking deeper with every line of the letter. They'd split everything clean in the divorce, or so she thought. She'd kept the lease only because it was simpler than arguing. Ethan had promised he'd take care of any damage from band stuff. But this wasn't damage. This was financial sabotage. The clock ticked louder than usual that night. She opened her laptop, pulling up her old emails. There it was. Tour schedules, photos from San Francisco, Chicago, New Orleans, all of them dated, all of them showing that same gray van parked beside a dive bar, a diner, a backstage door. She scrolled through texts from Ethan. Taking the van to Houston, be back in 2 weeks. Left the keys in the mailbox, might be a few scratches. Don't freak out about the mileage, it's fine. Her credit score wasn't fine. Her peace wasn't fine. She picked up the phone and dialed Ethan's number, her finger pausing over the last digit. She didn't want to fight. She wanted an answer. But his voicemail picked up. Hey, it's Ethan. Leave it after the beep. She hung up. That night, Jennifer pulled the lease documents from the back of her filing cabinet. She read the clause again. All charges incurred after the signing date shall be the responsibility of the lessee. Her heart sank. She was the lessee now, technically, legally, but morally? No way in hell. She grabbed a pen, circled the clause, and wrote 3 words in bold beside it. See you soon. Because if Ethan wanted to send her bills, she'd send him something better. A summons. Ethan had once told Jennifer, "You're too organized. It's cute and terrifying." He had no idea how terrifying it could get. By the end of that week, her dining table looked like a crime board. Highlighters, old receipts, concert flyers, gas station payments, band set lists, anything that proved the van hadn't been hers alone. She wasn't just trying to win a case. She was unraveling a pattern Ethan never thought she'd trace. There was the hotel receipt from San Diego, dated 4 months before the divorce. The gas purchase in Tucson on a Tuesday she remembered being homesick. Then the kicker, an Instagram post from Ethan's band, The Stray Signals, with the van in the background and the caption, "Off to Vegas, the van's got 14K left in her, let's use every mile." Jennifer leaned back in her chair, jaw tight. Every mile and every lie. She typed up her small claims complaint with surgical precision. Exhibit A, the lease. Exhibit B, the Instagram post. Exhibit C, her own work history showing she never drove the van for over half a year. It was bulletproof. Or so she hoped. The moment the papers were filed, Ethan called. "Are you serious? You're suing me? Over a couple grand?" She didn't raise her voice. "Over a couple years, Ethan." There was silence. Then, "You always make me the villain." "No," she replied calmly. "You did that on tour." He laughed, a bitter, careless sound. Good luck proving it wasn't your mileage. Jennifer smiled. I've got proof. I kept everything, even the lies. He hung up. And with that, the war began. Days later, she received Ethan's response to the lawsuit. He was denying all responsibility and countersuing for emotional distress and defamation. Defamation! As if telling the truth about a shared lease was a smear campaign. She read his filing and shook her head. His evidence? A few vague texts from years ago? No dates, no context. He was playing the charm card again, hoping the court would see a struggling artist who got tangled in technicalities. But this wasn't a song lyric. This was a ledger of choices, and every choice had a date. The day before court, Jennifer sat quietly in her car, parked outside the county clerk's office. She wasn't scared. She wasn't angry. She was done. Because win or lose, she had one thing Ethan would never get back. Her story. In her hands. And in 24 hours, a judge would hear it. The courtroom was smaller than Jennifer imagined. No grand columns or echoing footsteps, just beige walls and quiet tension. Ethan sat at the defendant's table, tapping his foot like he was waiting for a haircut. He didn't look at me. He didn't need to. He thought he'd win this with charm. But charm doesn't erase contracts. The judge, a woman in her 50s with sharp glasses and a sharper tone, skimmed the file. "Let's begin," she said, her voice cutting through the stillness. Jennifer stood first. Her voice didn't shake. "I received a $2,400 debt notice for a lease. That van was used extensively by the defendant after our divorce proceedings began. I've compiled mileage, social media posts, and text messages that show he used the vehicle well beyond what's allowed by the lease agreement." She handed over her folder, meticulously labeled and highlighted. The judge flipped through. Then turned to Ethan. "Your response?" He smiled faintly. "Your Honor, we were married. Things were shared. It's not unusual for some overlap. I never agreed to pay anything after the divorce. She took the van, she kept it. I thought it was done." The judge held up the lease document. "This isn't about emotional debts, Mr. Kessler. This is about contractual obligations." A pause. Then, as according to the documents, Mr. Kessler used the van for extensive travel, confirmed by timestamps and visual evidence. Ms. Harrow, Jennifer, was not using the vehicle during those trips. Therefore, the debt incurred falls outside of her legal responsibility. Ethan blinked. "So, what does that mean?" "It means you owe her $1,200. She paid it. You benefited. Pay her back." Jennifer exhaled. "But the judge wasn't done. And I'm dismissing your countersuit. There's no defamation here, only facts." The gavel hit the block. Done. Outside, the air felt different. Not lighter, but clearer. Ethan walked past without a word. Jennifer didn't expect one. She didn't need closure. She had a court ruling. And more importantly, she had proof that sometimes justice doesn't shout. It just signs the paperwork.